Hello, my name is Derek Atkins, and this is part one of the video lecture, The Formation and Development of a Worldview. This video lecture is for the course Worldview and Biblical Decision-Making at the East Asia School of Theology. As we have seen, everybody has some sort of worldview, whether that worldview is consistent, eclectic, or accidental. But how do people come to believe what they believe? And how do people choose to accept some parts of a particular worldview and reject other parts of that worldview? And how does this knowledge help us as believers to make a difference in today's world? These are some of the questions that we will explore in this video lecture. Let's start by looking at the beginnings of a worldview. And here we're going to look at some pre-theoretical elements. But the beginning, this is where we're going to talk about how we begin to forge our identity and why it becomes so difficult to radically alter a person and especially an entire culture's worldview. So let's look at some pre-theoretical considerations. Children, at least initially, do not form worldviews in systematic ways. They form them in non-philosophical and non-linear ways. They come to them through authority figures, rote memorization, indoctrination, education, and things of this nature. This is not to say that this is bad. It simply recognizes that this is the way children initially adopt their perspectives on life and the world around them. This is why it is so incredibly crucial to give your children a sound biblical foundation educationally, emotionally, socially, etc. Each person has also been endowed by God with a certain set of capacities, talents, and gifts. These include our capacity to learn, grow, and contribute to the world around us. The fact of the matter is, some people have gifts and abilities that others lack. In this regard, we are not created equal. We are created equal in terms of our significance and value, but decidedly not in terms of our gifts, talents, and abilities. In addition to the formative aspects of early life, everyone has also been given a unique personality by God. For example, some are extroverted, some introverted, some are driven, and others are more laid back. Some are quiet and reserved, others are loud and expressive. Some are feisty and combative, while others are more compliant and contented with life. It is amazing how different kids can be, even though they may be raised in the same family and the genetic products of the same two parents. My younger brother, Chad, and I are both very different from each other, even though we're only 3 years apart and we have the same parents. Like it or not, where we were born has an immense impact upon how we look at the world around us. If we were born in Japan, our Japanese students, for example, we are much more likely to know about, understand, and adhere to Shinto ideas, which are so prevalent in that part of the world. Consequently, we would be much more likely to respect authority and appreciate tradition. Even within China, being born in a small town versus a big city is going to significantly influence how a person views the world. Having said this, there are a wide variety of factors that stem from such location-related aspects of worldview formation. These factors will have differing levels of importance in different cultures. I'm going to list some of these factors in this video lecture to help you raise your awareness and to spark further thought and reflection on this matter. So let's begin by looking at some geographical factors. Is the society urban or rural? Do people live in a warm or cold climate? Do people depend on farming or hunting and gathering for their livelihood? Are towns and villages located inland or near the ocean, or in a desert or a tropical rainforest? Are there lakes and streams, mountain, plains, etc.? All of these issues or factors have a profound impact on the development and sustenance of cultural practices, beliefs, and values. Let's talk about cultural factors. First, there are social and educational institutions. These are centrally important to worldview formation and include such things as societies, NGOs, etc. Clothing, body, and hairstyles. What kinds of clothing, body art, and hairstyles are appropriate for what kinds of occasions? In addition, notions of beauty and modesty vary widely in world cultures. For example, women wearing bikinis in Western nations versus women wearing burqas in Muslim nations. Food and drinks. What kinds of foods and drinks are consumed? Are there certain foods and drinks that are consumed on special occasions? And if so, what are they? Are there special rules for eating food? For example, should you eat food with chopsticks? Should you eat food with forks and spoons? Or should you eat food with your hands? Music and dance. What music and dance is part of this culture? Are certain kinds of music or dance looked down upon? Are only certain people allowed to sing and or dance? This can even be seen in church cultures. For example, some churches have somber music and no dancing, while other churches have lively music and exuberant dancing. Art and forms of media. What kind of art is part of this culture? Are certain forms of art prohibited? What forms of media are common in this culture? Media can have a very powerful influence upon a culture. In fact, some have argued that TV was the most powerful cultural influence during the 20th century, while others now claim that the internet is the most powerful cultural influence in the 21st century. New ideas are often introduced into cultures by television and or the internet. And for this reason, some nations try to block outside sources of information from entering their countries. In some cases, governments have gone to great lengths to prevent outside radio broadcasts, TV broadcasts, or internet content from entering into their countries. Architecture and building styles. What types of buildings have what types of architectural styles? For example, pagodas in Buddhist countries often exhibit very distinct architectural styles. Right or wrong, churches sometimes exhibit specific architectural styles as well, styles that are not necessarily culturally integrated or indigenous. For our purposes, we want to know, are these structures used for specifically religious purposes? Are they like other structures built in this society, or do they show very distinct forms of architecture? Can these be adapted for use by Christians, or are the past pagan and non-Christian religious associations too strong, as, for example, many feel is the case with pagodas and Buddhist temples? Now let's talk about authority structures. Different societies have different ways of organizing and exercising authority, and these are worth considering. So, for example, here we have a picture of an Asian business meeting. And so the question we would ask here about authority structure is, who's in charge? Is authority based? Is authority more egalitarian, or is it more hierarchical? Is it more matriarchal, or is it more patriarchal? Is authority formal, given in a formal way, or is it more informal? Is status based on genealogical or imparted characteristics, or is status earned? Are authority structures more communal or more individual? And are authority structures more traditional and conservative or more liberal? So these are some different considerations or characteristics we can look at when looking at authority structures in a particular culture. In the same way, we can look at what are considered sources of credible authority. Who or what things does a society ascribe credibility and authority to? Who or what is believed, and who or what is ridiculed and mocked as ridiculous? For example, Christianity in many Western societies are now often portrayed as being outdated, superstitious, etc. Holidays. What holidays are celebrated? How are they celebrated? And why are these holidays celebrated? So these are good things to know about as we approach a certain culture and as we try to take the gospel to the people within that culture. Traditions. Traditions include how people greet each other. For example, do people greet each other by shaking hands, Or do they greet each other by bowing to one another? Traditions also include how we mark special occasions, such as quinceañera, which are the 15th birthday celebrations in Latin American countries. Also, how to receive or accept gifts. For example, in China, gifts are not to be opened in front of everyone, but rather are to be opened in private. And there are many other traditions that a particular culture might have. And these are useful things to learn about as you enter a new culture, or even as you do ministry in your home culture. Rituals. What rituals do people follow in this culture? What do these rituals mean, and how important are they? For example, take national anthems. In the United States, the national anthem is often played before sporting events, and everyone will stand and place their right hand over their hearts. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag will also often be said. In Thailand, on the other hand, the national anthem is often played in movie theaters before a movie is shown. People will stand. They will not place their hands on their heart. They will simply stand as a sign of respect for the national anthem. And while they are standing, a photographic montage of the ruling monarch will be shown on the screen. So these are some different ways that America and Thailand do national anthems. And each and every culture has certain rituals that they follow. So this is another aspect of culture that we can look at and consider how they shape a person's worldviews. Then there are the general cultural setting and nature. For example, is the particular culture you're going into conservative or liberal? Is this culture static? That means unchanging, or are they dynamic and changing? Is this culture or nation developing, stagnant, or even regressing, going backwards? We can also consider technology. Does this society have and use advanced technologies extensively or not? And for what primary purposes do they use technology? What impact does technology have on the average member of society? And what aspect does it have on the poor people of that society? And what impact does technology have on the elite of that society? This has become especially more important and influential after the industrial age, especially in first world countries, although there are very few places in the contemporary world now where technology does not play a significant role in social and personal formation. So these are some of the factors that help shape a person's worldview. This is the end of the first part of this video lecture. So please go to the second part of this video lecture, and we'll explore some more factors that influence and shape how a person develops his or her worldview.